21:15 of the crisis in the Gulf, and if you wonder why we might still count the days, one reason would be that the crisis has hardly ended just because that gusher has been plugged. In our fourth story tonight, the physical and mental effects on Gulf Coast residents, including especially children. And this related note, the National Association of Free Clinics is staging a 2-day free clinic in New Orleans and needs your help. First, the nexus of the Gulf disaster and health care. Children of the Gulf region are twice as likely to experience mental and physical problems than are other children, according to a study from Columbia University. More than 1/3 of families participating in the study said that their children had developed new rashes or breathing problems since the beginning of the Gulf oil spill. 43% of adult respondents said that they had been directly exposed to oil, either at the beaches or on their own property, or by participating in the cleanup. Many residents still expressed an interest in moving away from the area, and there was broad anxiety among all residents, even though the gushing oil had been stopped. Meantime, the urgent need for a free clinic in New Orleans from the National Association of Free Clinics. You will recall that your remarkably generous donations of nearly $2.5 million have thus far funded 5 free clinics across the country. Through those 1- or 2-day clinics, more than 9,000 patients have been served, 8,500 volunteers have been activated, 7 suicides have been prevented, and 3 open-heart surgeries have been conducted. And one man who had been previously diagnosed with HIV, got more specific testing at a clinic and discovered he was not HIV positive. The immediate goal now is to sponsor a 2-day free clinic in New Orleans on August 31st and September 1st. But at this moment, the National Association of Free Clinics is far short of the necessary funds. If you can help, please do. To discuss the ongoing crisis in the Gulf region, let's turn to the president and co-founder of the Children's Health Fund and the director of Columbia University's National Center for Disaster Preparedness, Dr. Irwin Redlener. Thank you for your time tonight, Doctor.
My pleasure, Keith. Thanks for having me.
Without getting bogged down in direct causality, there'll be years' worth of studies to determine that. Can we really expect that these kind of health problems that we're dealing with these children particularly are going to continue to occur?
There's no question about it. I mean, in fact, we're just looking at kids who are still suffering from Katrina's effects and the disastrous recovery there. Still thousands of children affected. I expect that the oil capping is not going to make a difference to thousands of children down in Plaquemines and the other counties near the spill, because we're seeing so much evidence now of a tremendous amount of distress and anxiety among the kids as well as their parents.
Is that exacerbated by the concern that the crisis is being sort of figuratively wiped away now that some of it has been wiped away by the stopping of the gusher?
Well, people are tripping all over themselves to declare the crisis over, the disaster over. That's very, very far from the case. That mere fact is very disturbing to parents because they know what they're dealing with. They're dealing with kids with serious psychological problems, medical problems, and so forth. Furthermore, these are the same people who were traumatized by Katrina and a failing recovery from Katrina, and in the back of their minds they're worried about the possibility of a hurricane this season. So these are very, very concerned people that will need help for a long time.
So you've got like 5 separate psychological components in play here. You have the original disaster of Katrina, the post-traumatic disorder that would follow that, the bad recovery from that, this disaster, and now the sudden sense that we're now being abandoned again, and the media coverage has been shut off, and the urgency of it has been shut off.
Exactly, and this is incredibly worrisome to families who live down there, and for those of us who are providing care there. We've been there since Katrina in that region. We've provided 100,000 free visits to children, medical and mental health, and now we're seeing this secondarily traumatized population. But like you're saying, with those 5 factors, this is uncharted territory. In many ways, we have no idea really what's going to happen with these kids, but we do know they need assessment and they need interventions and they're going to need support. This is an area, don't forget, that's also highly medically underserved before the oil spill. So now people are driving an hour and a half maybe to get to a pediatrician, but it's really tough getting the help that they need.
The notion that the crisis there is over, you and I spoke about this before the show started. We would be expecting BP to be invested in getting this over as quickly as possible, but BP is getting some help, in your opinion?
Well, you know, the federal government would like this to be over as quickly as possible also, and then there's a whole series of political nuances, maybe not nuances, but political realities that everyone's facing. Some ways, you know, you sort of get the sense that the governor of Louisiana wouldn't mind for it to sort of continue a while. He's been making quite a show of himself participating in whatever they're going to be doing down there. But the fact of the matter is, there's a general sense that everybody wants this over, which of course the parents do as well, except they're dealing with real life problems. It's their children, it's their families, it's the instability of their communities, and that's really troublesome.
triangulating the problems down there for the kids. You said this is uncharted territory. If they're facing some physical problems and they're facing these psychological problems, plus a sense that the environment that they understand has been changed in some real way that has scared the adults, what happens when all three of those things come together in a group of children in an area? Well,
it's really difficult for children to absorb all that. And for the 25% of the families are seriously talking about leaving the region permanently. This is a place where 3, 4, 5 generations have lived. So once it reaches the kitchen table, so to speak, in the families, and not only the kids worried and experiencing the anxiety of loss of livelihood and everything else that's unstable, but now to hear mom and dad saying, maybe we have to leave here, maybe we'll never come back, that's really kind of a capper for them that just is really difficult for a lot of children to deal with.
In the area, roughly, of war refugees, people clearing out in advance of an attack? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, this is a different kind of, this is a very special kind of, displacement that people are feeling now. And when you become disconnected from the place that you're used to, or it's become destroyed. And in many places, you go down there, it looks, okay until you get up close. And then there's oil everywhere. It's in the marshes. It's under the surface of the water. And it's completely destroyed a lot of the economic possibilities for families. This becomes a major crisis that is going to trouble children and families for the foreseeable future.
Dr. Irwin Redlener of the Children's Health Fund, great thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Keith.
And once again, the goal, a 2-day free health clinic in New Orleans, August 31st and September 1st. Go to www.freeclinics.us to contribute. Many people will thank you kindly, me included.